If architecture is frozen music, then design is frozen thought. My name is Matt Blake, and this is how my brain seems to work. Direct Correlation is my digital art piece in reaction to the heroic death of Pat Tillman and how it has had the equal and opposite reaction with our government's treatment of the Abu Ghraib prisoners. In this Pechakuchid Reality Reboot 2.0, I will attempt to manifest three things for you. How I stumbled into this structure of thought through my art, how scientific data now points to the existence of thought structure throughout consciousness, and a positive example of thought structure implementation. There had to be a mystical reason to the why of the heartbreaking seventh game losses the Red Sox and Cubs experienced in their 2003 championship series. Overanalysis paralysis ex post facto is my first two-dimensional representation of thought structure. Direct correlation was my first XYZ axis 3D version. Unbeknownst to me, I was envisioning information and giving it value, a method of manifesting what I call the structure of thought. Two big influences: Edward L. Tufte's envisioning information in the visual display of quantitative info, and Douglas Hofstadter's Gödel Escher Bach and Eternal Golden Braid. This in turn is called high-dimensional geometry, which I just found out existed when I bought The Story of Mathematics by Ian Stewart last year. Stewart says that this is the way our cell phones work, using what they call multi-dimensional space in programming the new cell phone circuitry. I'm going to switch gears now and talk about how truth is stranger than fiction. I've always been interested in the evidence throughout planet Earth of alternative history. If you've never heard of Baalbek, Pumapunku, Lake Titicaca, the Antikythera mechanism, or the Piri-Reis map, Google them because they can't be explained by modern means. 2008's Thunderbolts of the Gods puts forth evidence collected by the new Hubble Space Telescope attachment, assorted satellites, new data, all pointing to the fact that the omniverse is electric, the origins of which are a paradox. Einstein's theory of relativity does not account for this electricity. Equally baffling to science is the presence of dimethyltryptamine, a naturally occurring compound found throughout nature, especially in mammals. It's housed in the mysterious pineal gland in the center of the brain, naturally secreted into the system during near-death experiences and moments of enlightenment. Daniel Tammet is a functioning savant, able to articulate how his brain perceives reality. He's famous for memorizing pi, reciting it out 22,500 digits, and learning the Icelandic language in a week. He sees the structure of thought in his mind's eye and can do complex mathematics out past 12 digits. So many other contributing variables: quantum physics measurement principle, the Fibonacci number sequence, and sacred geometry, but Pechakuchid keeps it short. But I'd like to say that Carl Sagan's contact with Jodie Foster, that in and of itself is the actual contact. And multidimensional thought structure is actually thinking like a vegan. On the flip side of our reality, I have to acknowledge here that there does exist what JFK called a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy. These small but powerful cabals attempt to influence this particular reality we all share at this time, which the Aztecs have called the Age of the Fifth Sun. All governments globally have black ops. What these powerful interests have learned over the last 100 years is the importance of public relations championed by Freud's nephew Edward Bernays' philosophy of engineering consent. Today's media feeds us their version of reality of self-destructive consumerism as the early colonists handing a warm, cozy blanket infested with smallpox to Native Americans. On the other hand, the scientific data is pointing to a reality that does not have to be this difficult. If you think the omniverse doesn't have a sense of humor, you haven't been watching the news lately. All of the comedians you see here are upholding the timeless truth-to-power carte blanche that has been reserved for the court jester of the king. So what do we do now? The technology and manpower exists today to engage us all in a kinder, gentler method of existence. Because if existence itself is nothing but a dream within a dream, then we have to choose to get about the business of dreaming better. So here's one lighthearted example of how this can manifest. By assigning value to opinion through the voluntary collection of web and app-based surveys, we can develop a new sacred geometrical, spiral-shaped society based upon different variables. Money-based and point-based economies will run simultaneously, like the spiral nucleotides in a DNA molecule. separate but never touching as conjoining revenue streams. Introducing the job spectrum. The top 10 in-demand jobs of 2010 didn't exist in 2004. The job spectrum will be able to nimbly add new relevant jobs, like Fukushima and Gulf oil spill cleanup crews, to the collective consciousness with the value and urgency they deserve. Those of learned age would input information through a series of surveys asking, how do you feel about job X, with designed questions. This would happen 3 times a year based upon astrological kind of sign. But on the month of your birth, your vote would count 3 times for a natural tidal influence. Data is collected and assessed in a 3-dimensional format, and results would be posted on the 22nd of every month. Zodiac sign rollover. Compensation for jobs would fluctuate month to month, like the stock market, based upon all assorted variables. The purse distribution would be much like a golf tournament distributes its prizes. I wrote a blog post titled, "This is how they should pay baseball players." You get a flat salary as a rookie, which goes up proportionally every year you stay in the league. The other part of your salary is dictated by how well your team does, and then your own personal statistics. The job spectrum applies that same formula to this particular proposed reality. I'm sure there are flaws, problems, issues, things I haven't thought of in regards to this theory, but I felt compelled and driven to do this. I'm an artist first, for Christ's sakes, and I can't even balance my checkbook. I have an app that does that for me now. I came about this through the back door, but I hope this physical manifestation of my structure of thought inspires you and gives you hope in these turbulent times. Thanks a lot.